As a company, we've been doing rum since 1670, quite some time back, right? Over the years, we had over 300 sugar estates span across Guyana. Each of them produce their own type of sugar and molasses that goes for rum production. However, as the years gone by, some of the estates, some of the distilleries came down, and they're all consolidated now, just in a handful of stills. So what we would have done over the years, we bought over the different distillation still across the different Guyana regions, and we nestled them here at Diamond Distillery. So what you have here now, it's an array of 12 different distillation stills, and each of them produce their own unique spirits. Spirits of which we take, blend, and produce rum. Alright, so that's why El Dorado portfolio is so vast. So of the 12 stills that we have, we do 24 different spirits. And these spirits range from neutral, light, medium, and heavy bodied. And then, depending on how, or the mouthfeel or the preference, you can blend them in so many different ways. Alright, so when I say stills, I refer to these equipment here. So these are the miniature models of some of the stills that we have. We have the coffee still, we have the French Saval, we have the HP wooden coffee still. We also have a Brinks gin still. So we also do gin as well, if you're not familiar with it. We also do gin. And then behind here, we have the double wooden Port Moran pot still, which is the oldest still that we have, 1732 built and still in operation for us. So we're gonna head over to the distillery. We're gonna go through the process from molasses to alcohol, and then from that now to barrel or age rums, and then to the bottling, and then we finish off here on tasting. So I have a treat for you, actually. So I was told that, a special Australian distributor to pull out certain things from the cask, as well as some fresh product from distillation. So what you get a chance to experience is some spirits from the still, spirits from the cask at cask strength, and some of the finish that we have in El Dorado rum. So
amazing.
You're gonna marry the whole thing.
Thank you.
Alright, so we came from the Heritage Center. In front of me, it's one of 5 warehouses that we have. This is our barreling warehouse, most of our receiving warehouse. The barrels that we have is ex-bourbon, white American oak.
Where they come from?
Mostly from the Kentucky region.
Kentucky.
So they're all ex-bourbon.
Jim Beam?
Yeah, Jim Beam, Brown Foreman, which is the Jack Daniels and so.
Jack Daniels.
So they use for a year or two, and then basically we use it for a rum. So another warehouse we have over this side, same thing, because they're so close to each other. On that end, part of our distillery.
Is it the Saval?
No, that is what we call the malt column. Saval is inside.
Right.
Yeah, but you get a chance to peek it though. Right, so molasses trucks, basically we truck molasses, in these tanks, and then we process them.
Do you add water
Yeah.
and ferment it?
Yes, we dilute the molasses 4 parts with water, then we add yeast, nutrients, and we allow it to ferment.
For how long?
We ferment for about 22-24 hours. And that's My name is Daryl Manichan. I'm the operations manager for the distillery.
Thank you. And you, sorry? State your
My name
name.
is Diane James, and I'm the customer service supervisor in the export department.
Alright, so for the distillery, I'll give you a brief overview quickly. So from the molasses that comes from the sugar estates, we store them in our local tanks, we test them, and then we send that now for fermentation. Before it goes to fermentation, it has to go through the yeast plant, basically the stage before fermentation, so we can propagate the yeast and then kickstart fermentation. So from molasses, we're going to see now the yeast plant, and we go from there.
How do you produce your molasses? Who does? Yes, the DDL produce it?
No, So the molasses is sourced from the local sugar industries.
Yeah.
So that's government's own. So when they produce their molasses or produce
The
sugar,
sugar?
we take the molasses from them. We buy it from them.
I guess Guyana is a big exporter of sugar, mostly for the U.S.
Yes, we're one of the biggest exporters in the Caribbean.
They must have a lot of molasses left.
Yes.
Maybe not even, you guys don't even use everything. They must
No.
export it.
No, so in the past, it used to be enough for our operation and for export, but now the molasses production is lower and our production is higher. So we consume all the local molasses and still import molasses from the Caribbean.
I see.
Yeah. So where we are right now, this is our boiler house. So we're doing some renovations here to accommodate a new boiler for us. So the boilers, they power on heavy fuel oil as well as biogas. So all the waste that we generate, we send it our waste plant across the road. The biomet plant converts that organic waste into biogas. And that biogas now is sent to the boilers to use as a fuel. So it replaces about 45 to 50% of my fuel needs at these boilers. And what they do basically produce steam for the distillation. So it helps in two ways. The biogas, economically it works for me because I'm producing my own fuel. And environmentally, I'm reducing my waste impact before final discharge. And the second part of the environment, the emissions of the biogas is much cleaner than what we see here heavy fuel oil. So it burns cleaner than the heavy fuel oil. During the process of converting molasses to ethanol, it has to go through the fermentation plant. So behind me, these are the fermenters that we have. We have 16 fermenters and they're all closed and 100,000 liters each. So what you have inside, it's diluted molasses, sugar and nutrients. Sorry, yeast and nutrients.
4-to-1.
Yeah. So the molasses now, they consume, the yeast consumes the sugars in the molasses and converts it now to ethanol and carbon dioxide. In these tanks, they're closed. So the CO2 gas coming off from the yeast, we trap that gas as well. And we send to our CO2 plant. They take that, they pressurize, they liquefy it, clean it up, and they send it to our beverage plant to make soft drink. So Pepsi, Soca, Slide 7-Up, sparkling water comes from the CO2 that I produce from my fermentation cycle. We also do dry ice as well. And if you go to fast food restaurants like KFC or churches or Popeyes, and they give you that fountain drink, that CO2 that fizz out comes from my plant as well.
I see.
And we've been converting that CO2 into usable CO2 since 1984, quite some time now.
How long the fermentation goes for?
So fermentation cycle goes for about 22 to 24 hours. And because the plant itself runs 24/7, we set every fermenter every 2 to 3 hours. So when one is finished, it's transferred, another one is behind, and it's transferred. So it's a continuous cycle for us.
What's the alcohol content that comes out of fermentation?
At the end of fermentation, typically we get about 7.2 to 7.5%.
So once the fermentation is finished, that will be the next step.
The next step is to send to this intermediate tank. From this tank, this is connected to all of the distillation tanks. Alright, so we're at the yeast plant. Before we start fermentation, we have to go through the yeast plant. The yeast are basically active dry yeast, but we have to climatize them to our conditions. So the stages in the yeast plant is different propagation stages. So you can consider nursery, primary, and then secondary at this stage. So the yeast plant is really a mirrored image. What is over here is the same thing over this side. The cycle is very simple. We introduce the yeast, diluted molasses, and nutrients at the top, and then we basically add the Yeast can work aerobic and anaerobic. During the growing and propagation stage is the aerobic stage. So when we add air and we mix everything together with the yeast, it starts to grow and multiply. So as they grow and multiply, the volumes increase. We transfer into these two tanks. Before they grow and multiply, we then transfer to the other two tanks. At this stage, they're fully matured. And then we transfer two of these tanks into one fermenter. And that's 10% liquid, that is yeast mass. And then we add 90% diluted molasses. And then that goes through anaerobic fermentation.
So 90% molasses, 10% yeast.
10% yeast volume. Yeah. So when that starts to ferment,
You need that much to convert to alcohol.
to alcohol, exactly. So at that point, it's anaerobic fermentation. We close the tanks. It basically converts the sugars now into ethanol and carbon dioxide. The end of the 24-hour cycle, when it goes to that tank now, then we head over to the distillation plant. Makes our drink and they secrete the alcohol. And we say yummy. And we use that. Yeah.
We like that.
We like that. That's good stuff. Right, so I did mention in our distillation, we bought over various distillation stills across different estates. So when the estates came down, the distillery naturally came down as well. So some of these stills, they range from 1950 age, 1912, 1890, 1882, 1732, and it's still in full operation for us. Some might say, you know, when you're coming in DDL, you have a sense of walking into a museum. The only difference is these equipment are working for me, right? So, and they're very unique to their own. So, for example, the coffee. So this is not coffee like Starbucks coffee, right? This is the name of the guy from Ireland who designed the still. Right? His name was Aeneas Coffee. The Coffee 1 and the Coffee 2. This was originally here at Diamond. So Diamond used to be a sugar estate and a distillery.
This was the diamond
It
location.
used to be a Diamond sugar estate and distillery. When the sugar estate came down in the 80s, we fully transformed it into a distillery. So these were here working still and still working now. Right? So the age of this, 1950s, and what you get from this is a unique spirit. That is a medium bodied spirit, very floral, very sweet, and it's part of our El Dorado blend. Right? So similar Coffee 1, Coffee 2. On
Yeah, the
this
coffee
side-
does the same.
Yeah. It's like the same.
They're quite different. One is a little bit
So, okay,
taller.
so the shorter coffee, still Coffee 1, produces a medium spirit that is more packed in flavors. Coffee 2 does a medium spirit as well, but not as much as flavor as 2. So I can draw the correlation why that is so. So imagine having a rubber band, right? When it's small, it's round. It's a lot that you can hold there, right? So that's Coffee 1. But Coffee 2 is taller. The taller you go with the still and you stretch the rubber band, it gets slimmer, meaning that your flavor kind of starts to die away. So the shorter the still or the more compact, the more flavor you can get to produce because there's no separation. The taller you go, there are more separations. So for this, it's a nice medium. That is a nice medium too, but not as heavy.
So each of these is a plate.
It's a tray and a plate, yeah.
Yeah. What about the one that looks like a mass missile?
So we go, oh, this side is, okay, so the first still,
Oh, that's the rectifier.
yeah, so the combination of it is one.
Yeah, right.
So that's the analyzer, that's the rectifier.
Yeah.
So educate Diane as well, since she's here the first time. The first column that you see here, the analyzer, the liquid from fermentation, after you ferment the liquid, it goes on top and it basically comes down, and there are different trays positioned this way. So they basically trickle down. It's like a fountain coming down. And the bottom of that still now, the analyzer, the steam from the service building goes up. The steam evaporates the liquid up with the alcohol vapor that travels up.
They'll go for the liquid.
Yeah.
The vapors go for
So
the
the
liquid.
the vapor goes for the liquid and extracts the alcohol from it. So what you get traveling up is alcohol vapor with steam. Coming down is waste liquid that has extracted the alcohol.
The steam will also help, the liquid will also help the steam to get even more flavor.
So after that stripping, when it goes to the rectifier, there's more steam to extract more flavors from them now. Yeah, and then the waste liquid ends up at the waste treatment plant. And they convert that now to biogas, back to the boilers. So that alcohol vapor goes up and down and to the rectifier. The rectifier now, it's a separation column. So although we say alcohol is produced at fermentation, as you may know, there are different types of alcohol. Typically it's ethanol as the base, but there are different types. There are methanol, ethanol, propanol, butanol, and different compounds that we call congeners. And these compounds are called esters as well. Esters are the chemical compound that gives the rum a particular aroma. So for every fruit that you can think of, like orange, if I close your eyes and I can feel an orange, you can say that's an orange. If I feel a pine, you can say a pine. That aroma that you get, it's a compound, a chemical compound called esters. So those compounds that you find naturally occurring in fruits occur in rum production, but in ppm quantity, very small quantity, parts per million. But
Where
it's
do you put it down?
pardon me?
Like cold, when I was going on there's like a pine
And put it in.
turn alcohol
Yeah.
eventually.
So that is because the sugars in the pine can be used as a food source for the yeast to convert. Yeah, so you would get some pineapple flavors as well. But with the whole thing with molasses, it basically comes naturally with it. Right? So that's for the coffee production.
So you have two.
Yeah, we have two coffee. On this side is the French Saval.
This one here, like a bit darker.
So this is French Saval number 1 and French Saval number 2 at the end. So the nameplate is on this side. So you can zoom in on the nameplate, French Saval. So the difference with the French Saval versus the coffee still, the coffee is color. The French Saval is 3 columns. Alright?
3 columns.
3 columns. So depending on how you run the still, you can run all 3 or a combination of either 2. And when you do that, you have a different type of spirits coming. Alright, so these different spirits range from light to medium. So for example, the coffee still produces 1 spirit type. French Saval, because of the versatility, we can do 9 different types.
So it's 1.
So 1, 2, behind another 1, 3.
Behind.
So that's coffee, I'm sorry, that's French Saval 2. And this is French Saval 1. So you can see the 3 columns lined up here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's it.
This is when was the French Saval built?
1912.
1912.
1912.
And
this
that's
was
full
originally-
on metal.
So yeah, it's full metal, copper.
Metal copper.
So originally, it was at Iflot Estate. Iflot Estate is the estate west of this riverbank.
Yep.
It's on the west coast of Demerara. We're on the east bank of Demerara. The French Saval used to be there. Funny enough, a French still used to be at a Dutch estate. Don't know why. Right? And as you know, part of Guyana history, we were somewhat abused as a nation. We were ruled by the Spanish, the French, the English, the Dutch, and the English. Right? Eventually we settled as British Guyana back in 1966. So what we were capable of, or we had the privilege of, is to inherit some of the equipment from these different nations. So the French, the Irish, and then at the back that we have some other stills as well, the Spanish at the back too as well. So all of which build the heritage in Guyana. So that's why we call these stills heritage stills. They've been here for centuries and we kept them in operation.
So Saval was the name of the family.
It was ICBU, right? So it was Ignatius Christian Borda Iflot. That was the family name. The Spoor family kind of owned the estate, running the still. And mind you, the same spirit that they used to make in 1912, the same spirit we make now. And I have that sample here. Right? So I'm just gonna arrange them back in order. From neutral, light, medium, heavy, right? So bear with me. Alright. So I did start it off by saying we have 12 stills that produces 24 spirits. These are 7 of the spirits that we have, right? So we have them from neutral, really basically ethanol, what you can use to make vodka with. Then we have something light, medium, heavy, heavy. And rum is basically a blend of these spirits. So you can actually make your own blend right here. Mix this and mix this, and you have your own, call it your name brand. Alright? So we're gonna go through. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got different questions. Do you age before you blend, or you blend and then you age?
We do both. We do both. So I can blend now and age, or I can age and then blend. Yeah, it depends. Whatever is your preference. But we practice both though.
So are we tasting now?
If you wish. So I have them here for smelling. If you wish to taste, you can taste. But this is for smelling for now. So yeah. So this is neutral. As you smell this, it's very clean. As you go, you notice the difference. All came from the same molasses, same fermentation, but different still. Right? So appreciate the difference in them, right?
So this one would be the still.
So this is from the multicolor. We're gonna visit that in a few.
Yeah. And you're right. It smells like vodka.
Smells like vodka.
Very neutral.
Very
Nothing there.
neutral, clean, crisp. Right? And that's UN. That's ultra neutral. This is UMS from the French Val. We have a rummy now.
Yes, for fruity notes,
Yep.
creamy vanilla,
Yep, that's it.
delicious,
Right.
fresh,
Yeah,
still
yeah.
light.
Still light,
Yeah.
because it is a light, it starts to get now light to medium. So this is ICBU from the French Val as well. Now this.
Yeah, more complexity.
Yeah.
Becoming rum.
Right, exactly. And this was rum for them back then. Right? Good stuff, right?
Very nice.
Okay, so SBW is from the #1 coffee.
#1 coffee.
Yeah. Now this. More floral, right?
Very much more floral. And the alcohol content, you diluted them.
Yeah, I diluted
Just
them.
to open it up.
Just to open them. So
Yeah.
all of them are diluted to 20%.
Right.
Right? So the EHP from the wooden EHP still, which we're gonna visit in a few as well.
Which is the Amore.
The F-R, yeah. You know yourself.
Different again.
Yeah.
It's old school.
Yes, yes. Old woody kind of nose with some floral, but without
Yeah,
the
you
dark
don't have
note.
that woody nose.
Yeah.
It's funny that you get some with distillation, you know?
It carries over. It carries over.
Yeah.
So, fourth run, the double wooden pot still.
I always found the Pomeranz to be always the biggest for me, you know? But, oh. But is that okay to have a little bit? I want to see how it's done.
So this is from the still. That's it. There's no treatment for that.
No age,
Yeah,
nothing.
that's it. That's it.
Can't bring to Australia. Must be aged for 2 years.
Right? And this one here, you might be familiar as well though. This is the DHE.
The size.
So this is the highest. This is the highest one.
The highest. What is the Versailles?
No, I didn't bring the Versailles over
Alright.
here. Yeah. So the Versailles and the PM, it's almost the same.
No funky.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
The highest, but
Yeah.
it's way more notes. Looks like a
Give me some
vinegar, cider.
Yes. Yeah. So it's like acetone kind of scent like.
Yeah.
Acetic acid acetone. You have a train tone. Yeah. Yep. You want to try them, Diandra? You know what?
You should smell them.
Yeah. Alright, so basically 7 of the marks that we do. Neutral, light, medium, heavy. So we talk about the coffee, we talk about the French Saval. We're gonna head at the back where we have the batch
What are
distillation.
those little things here?
Alright, so right now, UMS from the French Saval is being in production. When you produce alcohol, there's only a section that you pull out as a product, and then there are byproducts we pull out. So the byproducts are the rectifier heads, or the purifier heads, sorry, purifier oils, and the rectifier heads. And they're low oil and they're high oils. So it's like when you're cooking, sometimes you take all of your food, or sometimes you skim off some. You don't want this, you want this. You boil it to strain it. Something like rum production. We don't take everything from the production. We only take a certain portion. That's what we call the takeoffs now. The takeoffs is the lighter stuff like the heads. The heads will be the rectifier heads and the purifying heads. The oils is the heavier alcohol that exists at the bottom of the column, which we take out. You ever wonder why you get hangover? Too much of the oils or the fusel oils give you hangover. So too much of that in the rum is not good. Generally, whiskey has a lot. Rum has a lot, but we decided to take some out. They aid in flavor profile, but too much of it, it becomes too, lack of a better word, toxic to your body, which you have to eradicate. So the kidney tries to remove all the heavier alcohol, and it tires you out. And that's why you feel as though, last night I drank and felt as though somebody beat me up, you know? Yeah, that feeling. Alright, so they're actually doing some cleaning earlier. My God. Alright. So what you have here now is the grandfather of the stills. So we have the younger ones on top, 1950, 1912. At the bottom here is the Versailles, as you would have asked earlier, the French Versailles still. The age of this here is 1840. Still operational, still fully functional. 1840. 1840, yeah. So this was originally at the French Versailles estate, which is on the west bank of Demerara, what we call Versailles, where Aracari is. This used to be there. Yeah. So what you find from this here, in terms of the production of the spirit, it's a nice heavy body, full flavor spirit that you get. Alright? At the end is the DHE. The last sample that you smelled upstairs came from that still. And the DHE, it's a 1950 still. What it produces is a unique spirit. It's a spirit that is high in ethyl acetate, as we call it. So that sweetness that you smell, it's ethyl acetate, and it's a very high proportion of it. So some of it you really take in blends of different rums. You can't really bottle it on its own. You have to blend it because it's too sweet, it's too much flavor inside. So DHG, BSG, this is the double wooden pot still now. As you can see, one pot links to the other pot. So the oldest that we have, 1732 built, and this was originally at Fort Moran Sugar Estate. So basically the liquid goes in, it boils, and the vapor comes up, down, up, down. So the water that you see on top, the wood itself, wood itself is made of green-hard wood. And as you know wood, if you leave wood to dry, it shrinks, it will leak. So whenever we're in production, we allow water to flow on top of the wood, so the wood now is swollen. And the liquid inside, it boils. And the vapor now...
That's why there's water there.
Yeah, that's why there's water there. So it keeps the wood swollen and it seals itself. And remember the pot, it's wood, right? If you add too much of steam, it wants to expand.
Yeah.
The water pulls the pot back down. It's like a pressure pot, you're adding water on top. So when the vapor now, the vapor boils very high. The vapor travels here, up the gooseneck, up, down, condenser, and then condenser down. At this point, it's 84% off our volume. How much? 84% off. 84%.
And how you hit the still?
So there is a steam line in the pot with a sparger. So there are holes on the steam line. So when we send steam, the steam basically goes into the product and it boils.
Oh, so the steam boils.
The steam boils the liquid, yeah. So there is no, in the past it used to be driven by fire.
Yeah.
Right? But it's steam now. Yes, it burns, well, it boils faster and more uniform now.
So can you tell me something a little bit about Fort Moran? Why it's called Fort Moran?
Fort Moran. So Fort Moran, it used to be or is a village in Berbice. It is about 150 kilometers east of this facility. So it was one of the oldest estates that would have been established. And Fort Moran, it's Spanish, right? Fort Moran, yeah, it's Spanish name. So with that now, with the estate having their own sugar production, the molasses goes to the Fort Moran Distillery that they ferment and then they distill into the pot still. When they came down, we brought the still over to Enmore. Enmore came down, It went to iFlood. iFlood came down, we brought the diamond. So I'm not sure there's a bad omen attached to this. Everywhere it went, the distillery came down, but we kept it because the first way of making rum in Guyana is through wooden pot stills. And this is a tradition that is not really practiced openly anymore. Everybody's moving towards column distillation. We still have column, and we still have our wooden pot, and we still have a copper pot. So if you understand the versatility for us in production, we can produce 24 different spirits. I challenge you, you go to any distillery, you only have a handful or even one handful of spirits. We do double this.
You have a whole encyclopedia here.
Yeah, a whole lot. So consider all of this as ingredients of making rum.
So we have to compare the single wood pot still to the double wooden pot still. What would you say the characteristic of the rum would be?
So both of them, the characteristics are the same, but the intensities are different. So both of them have a leathery, woody character, but the intensity that you get from here is a bit more than you get from here. So probably about 160%, about that, the intensity.
More intensity on the formal
More
one.
intensity than the Port Moran. Because of the double wooden still, it compacts more. Also, we have a retort system that takes in from the previous batch and concentrated more to have a very fruitful flavor.
So the still never stops.
For the batch distillation, they stop. So the continuous runs 24/7.
Yeah.
The batch distillation, when we fill the liquid and we distill and we extract the vapor, the liquid waste is extracted and then we start back the process. So that's why it's called a batch. And the batch is about 16 to 18 hours for here.
So after every batch, you clean the still.
We clean the stills, we pull the liquid down. That liquid goes for the biomed plant. We fill back now, fresh fermented liquid, and then we distill back again.
I'm wondering how they transfer those stills from the original farms to here.
I wasn't there, but I can tell you it would have been a task because for each one of them, you had to lose every single wood and assemble it back together. Thank God I wasn't there. I wouldn't want to be part of that.
When was it?
So,
Which year?
this would have came down, was brought in diamond here back in 1999. Before that, it was an iFlood. Before that, Enmore. Before that,
So Pomeran was bought before.
before that this had.
Probably in Horse. So this is the rectifier here.
Yeah. So very small rectifier. So remember,
Yeah, it is.
Depending on the size of the column, the longer you have it, the more less product
Yeah.
you're able to kind of extract out. Because this is so short, there's less extraction here. And the product itself, very rich, very robust, very deep.
So what's the job of the rectifier? Rectify.
The rectifier is a separation column. Meaning that you put all the alcohol that you would have distilled, the rectifier separates the different types. So the lighter one ends up at the top, like methanol and acetaldehyde. And the heavier one ends up at the bottom. So as the liquid or the vapor travels the rectifier, the lighter one exits first. The heavy one stickles at the bottom. Wherever you want your product, you can pull it in whatever range of the rectifier. If I want here, I can pull the product out to a condenser and it condenses. So here it's a mix of some light, some heavy, mostly medium. So depending on how you want to pull the product, that is where we get it.
So you get rid of the heads and the tails and just
Get
keep
rid
the
of-
hard.
Well, what we do, we take the hard, yes, as the product, but the heads and the tails, we recycle it in the retort. So from the previous batch, the heads and the tails goes in the retort, takes its vapors from the current batch, mix it, and then decide to go again.
I see.
Yep.
Very good.
Here the height, no? Take your time. What we have on this side here is the Enmore still, or the EHP wooden coffee still. So this was originally at Enmore. So the EHP was the family who would have owned the estate. It was Edward Henry Porter, English. The still was actually built in Guyana around 1882. In 1882, it would have been built strictly from the English, the Irish design, mind you, and entirely made of green hardwood and copper pipes. It's the only operating wooden coffee still in the world. The first coffee still was built in Ireland in 1832 by Aeneas Coffee. But over the years, they moved away from wooden to metal to copper stills. So this is a thing of a past, but for me this is current. I'm still using it, I'm still producing from it. I have a special product, as you know, the Edmore single still came from this here. And you get a chance to see the difference between what this can do versus what the other stills could do. Very, very much different. Right? And like I said, I have to say it again, the only operating wooden coffee still that you have.
How many plates are there?
About 26 or 28 plates. Yeah.
Do you have to do maintenance? Because
Yes. We do maintenance on a piecemeal manner though. We try not to go all crazy and loosen it up. You know this is like a Jenga puzzle. So try not to pull something and the whole thing comes tumbling down, right? So if there's a small maintenance fix here, we switch out, fix, and we go back again. So it's a piecemeal manner. We run the EHP still in small batches, so small runs in different quarters of the year to produce what we need for the year.
what sort of characteristic comes out of the Amor?
Enmore. It's sweet to the nose. It's not as complex, and you have floral to about tropical fruits kind of flavor coming in, and some of the woodiness. As you would have noticed, the woody character in the fresh sample, some of the woody character gets distilled out and into the product because of the wood distilled nature. Yeah. But that's typically the body that you will get. Fruity, tropical fruit kind of thing. So basically fermentation. Yeah, fermentation tanks for us. Look across the other side, that's the waste treatment plant. So all the waste, liquid waste, goes into that plant, cools and settles into the digesters, produce biogas that is trapped in the membrane, underground boilers. Yeah, so that's the molasses and that's some alcohol there.
Oh yeah, it's a mix.
Yeah, it's high. Hello. So what you have on this side here is what we call the multi-pressure rectifying still. It's the newest still that we have. It basically produces neutral alcohol and light rums that mostly for export market. So on this side, it's fully automated. Yeah, smell alcohol. Yeah, smell high. Yeah. So it's fully automated. It basically has 5 columns. So whereas you see coffee has 2, Sabala has 3, this is 5. Every time it passes through each column, it cleans up. So what you have at the end is the first product that we would have tested, which is UN, which is neutral alcohol. Yeah, so where we are is the bulk facility. So about 70% of the liquid that we produce at DDL in terms of the distillery, that goes for bulk export. And all the bulk export is really channeled through this facility. From that side, at production, the liquid gets tested by quality control, then quality assurance. Once we have the full approval, we can then decide we can send for aging, we can send to the bottling plant, or we send for export. When it comes for export, it's filled into these tanks. And these tanks have specific marks that they are allocated for. So for example, if you want to buy a liquid from me, I can send you a sample, send you a sample, store it here, you test it and say yes, it's good, and then I can export it out. So that pre-shipment sample arrangement we practice on this side. When a tanker comes, you will notice the tanker is parked up at the end. There are 1 of 5 loading bays. Depending on which customer, we know which tank, we know which amount, which mark, and we basically fill it out. Riley inside basically clicks on the computer 25,000 liters. The pump starts automatically, fill the tanks. When it's finished, it shuts off automatically. All the system is updated internally. All my stock sheets are all updated. My computer, my phone, all at the same time. And then we have customs officer on site. They check the tank, they seal, we test, and then we send it over for export. Basically picks up on a ship, then sail to you. And that's the end of my relationship.
They bulk buy,
They bulk back.
and they bought to whatever they want to do.
Whatever they want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just cannot call a Demerara rum
Yeah.
if they bought outside of here.
Yeah. Yeah. And the 30% liquid that remains, that is what I focus on, aging and bottling for my brands, which is the Diamond Reserve, Ivna Vodka, Dorado.
So only 25% you keep. The rest
Oh,
is
30%. 30%.
30%.
Yeah, 30% I keep. Yeah, but what we're planning in terms of working to specialize in our brand is to switch that volume back now. Less export, more of my...
More your own
more of
brand.
my-
For that, we need to increase the sales in Australia, right?
That's your job, sir. You help me, I'm gonna help you.
Very good.
Go to the bottling plant, and then we have the blender, the master blender, Sharon Bash, and then she does her magic as well too with the liquid that we would supply. Alright, so we're gonna go to the bottling plant, which is on this side. How's it so far? Good? Yes, amazing.
Very good.
Diane, you too?
Yes, I'm learning.
Alright, so let me stop somewhere here. Yep.
Diba?
I can't even see.
You can press that table?
No.
That's
Down here. Okay, so here, that's not.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
Okay.
So take the head off and put this on.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah.
I'm Donald Murray.
What's her name?
Donald Murray, the plant manager.
Don Mauro. Nice to meet
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Oh, boy. Oh, Diane. Diane James.
So before we go in, I would like to explain that we have 3 lines in our operation. We have one that do our premium products, super premium, and then we have our glass line that produce our Dorado also, and then we have our pet line. At the moment, 2 lines is in operation. The pet line, we produce liqueur this morning, so it's cleaning at the moment to produce vodka tomorrow. So I'll take you and you will see the operation.
Very good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So
Oh, I'm out of stock. I need some 15 years old.
Yeah. So you buy our premium products. And this is the line that produces the premium products. This line produces 3,000 bottles for hour.
3,000 bottles per hour.
Right? This is the super premium line. You want to go. So we have the application where we apply the button on the bottle and then place the bottle on the line. Bottle is rinsed with 70% alcohol. You rinse the bottle, then you fill the cap and you apply your label, and then you place into cartoons. Into inner boxes or into cartoons, depends upon the market. Because some market require with inner boxes, some without inner boxes. Yeah. So this is our next line. That produce our 5-year, 8-year Diamond Resort.
Give a shot.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Amar Swida. I'm the aging and blending manager for Demerara Business Limited.
Nice to meet you, Mark.
I do the blending of all our premium products, which include 15 years old, world's best rum, 1/6 international award so far. And among that, we do about 15 other blends of El Dorado products.
When are you gonna blend some 50 years old again?
As long as this guy has a spirit in the barrel, we blend that.
You just have to let me know.
Yeah. Well, as long as you wanted to buy, no problem. We can try to get it for you. This complex is fully automated, controlled by a PLC. And so I can sit in my office here and actually receive rum, blend rum, and right, so I only have one person work with me and myself. My supervisor here, Jonathan Holmes, he actually runs the daily operation on the group, on the bottom there. So we have an area, we have 3 sections. We have the process area, we have the vodka unit area, and we have the blending area. So we start from here. This area here, we only blend aged rums. The other fresh rums that we do some fresh rum also, like Diamond Reserve, a brand white rum. We do that on the other side. So we just receive rum via pipes into the tanks there. This plant commissioned in 2019. Before that, we used to be across the road, and we had everything manual with wooden vats. We used to blend in wooden vats.
Blended in wooden vats.
Yes, green hat vats, and that started years ago.
It's true, years back.
Yeah. And
Does
then
the wooden vat blending impact anything with the product, or is there any difference when you're blending with the tanks?
it had some impact, yes. That time we didn't have much barrels and stuff in place and space to put, but now we keep the rum more into the barrels. So then it would not, compensate for whatever it would use to impart into the products.
Yeah, so blended in on tanks and then aged in barrels.
You age in barrels and then blended that.
Aged first.
Yeah, age. It aged first.
Yeah, so you don't blend before aging.
Well, we have different types. Darryl will tell you in the warehouse, different
as you
blends
mentioned
here,
before,
right?
yeah.
He will blend his type of rum, but I have my formulation, which I use for El Dorado branded product.
Yeah.
He will blend more of the bulk.
So you already have the formula for every single one.
Yes, yes.
So they always consistent? Always consistent, the flavor profile? Like if you want to make a 3 years old, you have to mix
Yeah, you have to exactly.
Two or three different
The
steels.
formula is a guidance. It's okay, one percentage, but that, of course, you would mix. You go plus or minus, maybe 5%, 6%. Depends on how the age comes out of the barrel.
Yeah. Then you do
Right.
any adjustment.
Little adjustment and
Yeah.
do your coloring and stuff like that. Right.
Very good.
But if the quality is the same, you know, aging you can't know how some barrels don't come out good, some comes out good, and sometimes when we're doing some product, we'll go check individual barrels because you might find from time to time some of the barrels give you a half nose, and if you don't check that one barrel, it could spoil, you know, change the profile of all the other barrels and that don't mix together.
So you're also responsible for the aging.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the angel shares here in Guyana?
Right.
The evaporation.
Okay, so Amara is in charge for the age rum blending side of it.
Right.
Yeah, but where we're gonna go, the barreling side, Jason and myself, we manage aging warehouse.
Okay then.
Yeah. So because he is one of our biggest customers in aging, we basically have him manage the age stock and blending of it.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I work closely with the warehouse manager, so we will go and check, pull samples from the barrel, check, and then say, okay, we select this barrel to blend this type of rum.
Very good.
Just want to take a quick look at the tanks. So this is a 50,000 liter tanks. We have 6 of these tanks.
So each one of those tanks has a different rum.
Yeah, each one has different rum. But what happened? Before we build this plant, we look at our projection. We have a 25-year projection, cater for growth, and we also cater for the different types of blend. So I will select these tanks in terms of capacity, because, for example, 5-year is one of our biggest seller, local and export, and 12-year for export. Because Europe is one of our big markets with 12 years. So at all time, you'll have to have 50,000 liter 12-year blend into the tank. And mind you, 12-year blending is not a 1-day, 2-day story. It takes almost 2 months to get the profile right in the mixture.
Yeah, yeah.
And marination time and stuff. Because remember, the rum comes from the warehouse about 60% alcohol. We have to dilute, adding water to bring it down to 40%. Right away, you got exothermic reaction there, the heat. So you have to ensure that you blend it, rest, marinate it properly,
Is that
so
the
it doesn't
dilution-
separate on your
The
on the taste.
dilution is done slowly or you
Slowly. You add
Is that with water or
water, yeah,
just
nice water.
plain water?
Yeah, nice water. You use that. And that's why you have to go and rouse it up. We use air, oil-free air to rouse. And we also have a CIP system in these tanks here to wash.
Okay. So mostly, you'd say it's all American oak barrels here.
Yes.
You have probably a few extra different age
So
barrels.
we have some special casks.
Yeah.
Those are the special finish, which is the sherry cask.
Which is still an American oak.
No, sherry. So they're European. Yeah. So we would, like for example, the 12-year-old, the 12-year-old special cask, we would store for about 10 years in the bourbon cask, and we finish about 2 years in the sherry cask.
Yes.
Same thing with the 15, we do about 13 years and then 2 years.
So you receive those fresh casks once a year, and they are like they previously had a bourbon inside,
Yes.
correct?
Yes, correct.
So when you put the rum in there, it will be like your second fill.
Second fill.
So the barrel will be full of flavor, right?
When it comes, because it's left dry, and then we use, there is some remnants of bourbon,
Yeah.
but after a few months, say 3-4 months, fully rum.
Yeah. So once you use that barrel of rum and you age as long as you need, and you empty that barrel, what do you do with that barrel?
So we age for about 10 to 15 years using that life cycle of that barrel. After that, it goes away as firewood. We knock it down and we burn it.
So you don't reuse it again.
We don't reuse it again.
All right.
The barrel become exhausted after that.
So we are in a tropical climate. This is like hot and humid. The temperature changes like quite often. So
Yeah.
I believe you must have a evaporation and angel shares quite high.
It is.
Right.
But it's a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing about the higher loss in angel share that the rum tends to concentrate as you evaporate. But my angel share is roughly about 4% to 5% a year.
4 to 5% a year.
Yeah.
So, for example, a 15 years old, for example, if you lose 5% a year,
Yeah, well, it's not linear. So as you go, remember, it starts to concentrate. So the more volatile the alcohol starts to evaporate, as
Yeah.
it starts to concentrate, it becomes more compact. So the evaporation rate starts to die away as you go.
so you
aging.
reduce the evaporations after the years.
Yeah. So what happens? We do what we call re-warehousing. So for example, if we fill this lot with a lot of barrels, every 2 years we have to decant the barrels and then fill them up back.
Right. So you keep them full.
Keep them full. So,
So-
when you do that, your aging loss tends to start to decrease down.
Right. So
Yeah,
if
so
you
you
start with
consolidate.
with 100 barrels of a 15 years old, how many barrels you're going to end up with?
So just say 100, and then there's 95, then it's about 91, and end up probably just about 60, 50, something around there.
By,
Then
by
we consolidate, and then we have a 15-year-old.
right. So by the end of 15 years, you end up with almost like 60%. You say?
About yeah. There's
Yeah.
quite a loss as we go, but as we consolidate, we keep a track on the numbers. Of
Yeah. Imagine in the 25 years old, I end up
Yeah.
with. That's why it's expensive because it's,
It is,
it's a
it is. And
concentration and reduction.
Yep, and because these are all revenue tied up for us, we have our customs officer on site. They manage the aging side in terms of losses for us. So we're allowed to lose or evaporate a certain amount naturally,
Yeah.
and there is what we call allowable loss. Beyond that, then there's taxes that we have to pay for losses that we can't account for from the natural evaporation process.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see.
And all of our warehouse, they're bonded warehouses, so dual control on the doors. So one is for customs, and the other one is for Jason. So I haven't introduced Jason. Jason Bojdat is our warehouse
Jason.
manager.
Hey, how are you?
I'm very
He's
well.
built
How are
like a
you?
barrel.
I'm good.
So you're the man behind all this aging.
Yes.
Very good. I'll ask a question. Why you keep those barrels upright and not lying down?
It's just the method of storage. Just the method of storage. It's more convenient in terms of spatial arrangement. With the pallets, you're allowed to store more in a smaller space.
I see.
Yeah.
And how you know? How do you control? You know which barrel was it is? Like how long it's being aged for?
So each barrel is packed basically in batches, and each batch is labeled with a company recognized tag
on the barrel.
on the batch. Also on the
Oh,
barrel.
so like on those papers
Yes.
over there. So that's pretty much the batch here.
Also on the barrels, they are individually marked.
Oh, so every barrel is individually marked. So this one here, for
So
example,
if you look here, this would tell you the year.
2023. So it's just being by a barrel.
Yes, and the mark that is in it, which is LSR. And each year we start with a sequence number from 1
Yeah.
all the way down to the last barrel on the 31st of December. So this would tell you this is the 9,082nd barrel that has been barreled for 2023.
Right.
So outside of the tag, there is also the opportunity now to mark all the barrels to add another layer of traceability.
All right. So some of those you have several different stills here, right?
Yes,
And some of the rums you age them
for different periods.
as one still, and some you age as a blend. So blend
No,
and
so
age.
each are aged individually. Blending happens at the point of the
At the
bottling
end.
plant.
At
Yeah.
the end. Okay. So you also those batches you know which one is Pomo rum, which one is more.
Yes, so what happens, we would receive a requirement from the bottling plant whenever they are ready for blending.
Yeah.
They would indicate what mark and what age they require. So from that request now, I would then check the stock and see what's available. We would then take a sample, evaluate it, and once that is approved, we would send it over to the blending plant.
Right. So you send a sample. How much sample they require? Just like.
They do normally take like a 750 ml sample.
Yeah. So they have
Plus
you have
check-
the formula already,
Yeah,
isn't
they
it?
check-
Kind of.
Yeah, they check strength and they check
Yeah.
organoleptics.
Yeah. To make a 12 years old, for example, how many stills will be in there?
I am not aware of that.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
a secret of family. Yeah. You can't tell me
It's
that.
a separate. It's
Yeah.
a separate division, you know. So
Yeah. It's okay.
So this is S from the coffee still, EHP from the wooden coffee still. This is from the Versailles still, the single wooden pot. And then we have from the Port Morant, which is the PM, right? 2017. And this is re-warehouse when, Jason? 2017 itself?
2017.
Also 2017?
Original.
Yeah,
All the original
2016.
years are 2012.
Oh, the originals are 2012.
Yeah. All the original years are 2012.
So
So
this
they're all
one here,
2012.
for example, you wrote passes wrong. So that'll be up for passes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
SPW.
So this is
What string? What string is it? Pass rate at what? 50? Or something?
That's about 65.
65%. Mm. It's like Dorado ready right there, man. No blend.
So
please.
sorry, which one is this again?
The S barrel 2012 from the coffee.
20.
2012. Yeah. So about 11 years. 11 years.
I'll be 12 years old.
No, not it. Can I try? Yeah. It's 65%, right? You want to try that? 65%.
Nice.
Blah me each other. Hey, you record, you know.
Yeah. Delicious. Needs a bit of dilution.
Yeah.
So really good. Smell?
No.
So the warehouse that we are right now, this is the receiving warehouse, and we have 5 warehouses currently, and soon to have 7 warehouses. So 2 new warehouses we're gonna build. We've started construction already. North of this facility, that will add about 48,000 new barrels into the system. Currently, with the 5 warehouses that I have, it's about 100,000 barrels. So in the next few months, 6-8 months, I'm gonna add about 40% more to that. Yeah.
This is all tropical aging, right?
Yes, all chocolate.
Have you Dorado thought about keep some barrels on temperature control, like a humid cellar, for example?
No, for us, no. Yeah, so everything for us, all the warehouses, it's naturally ventilated. Basically, like in this style, there's no difference. We've never built a underground cellar like cognac would normally do.
Yeah.
Temperature control, no. Everything for us, it's basically tropical conditions. Like I said, it's a good thing and a bad thing. Good thing is that because of the aging process, the rum tends to concentrate a bit faster. So you have much more flavor within a short period of years. Downside is the evaporation loss that we have. But in order for you to get concentration, you have to allow some evaporation.
Which is called the angel shares.
The
huh?
angel share, yeah.
Imagine it like in some countries, I'm not sure if in Guyana, but some countries, they drop a little drop to the angels.
Yeah. So we do that.
So
as well.
you do that too?
Yes. So when
So-
we open a fresh bottle,
Yeah.
right, to consume, we kind of, and then we consume. You know, for the fallen brothers, pay respects.
So the angels, they get the fumes.
Yeah,
They
they're
get
greedy.
they get the drops.
Yeah, they're
Get
greedy.
double share.
Yeah, they double share. Well, that's
So
why I
if-
want to go up
if you,
there.
if you are in trouble, I don't think you should ask them for their help because they probably will be drunk.
I'm sure my angel is lingering somewhere in the ground.